And now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Alan Bud Selig, who will deliver the charge to the graduates. Mr. Selig, as you might know, is a lifelong baseball fan. He was named the 9th Commissioner of Major League Baseball in 1998. And prior to his election as commissioner, he served a dual role as president of the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Club and chair of Major League Baseball's Executive Council. Mr. Selig engineered significant changes to baseball's economic system, and they have helped the sport achieve increased economic balance. Mr. Selig has received numerous awards and recognitions, as you would expect. In terms of his relation to UW-Madison, he has served on the boards of visitors of the La Follette School for Public Affairs and the Department of Political Science. He's a member of the Greater Milwaukee Committee, the Boys and Girls Club's Board of Trustees. He was instrumental in establishing the Child Abuse Prevention Fund. He and his wife are active in the Milwaukee community and were co-recipients of the Humanitarian Award from the St. Francis Children's Center. Mr. Selig received a Bachelor of Science degree in American Institutions from UW-Madison in 1956, a degree that combined American history and political science. I'm honored to introduce him to you. Please join me in thanking him for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, I want to thank you for inviting me here today. It is a great honor and a privilege for me to share your graduation day with you, especially here in Madison. As some of you may know, I am a fellow alumnus of this great university. I have wonderful memories of my years here, and they remain fresh and vivid to this day. It seems like just a short while ago that I sat here in June 1956 on my graduation day, and I dreamed of what the future would hold for me. As you move on from this beautiful campus and this great educational institution, you will discover that few days in your life are as important and meaningful and as symbolic as this one. This is a moment in your lives of significant change and of passage into the future and of passage into a realm of responsibility and possibility. In a more orderly world, this passage will be made with ease and with great success. Good jobs and bright futures would be yours for the asking. But as you know, we are living in the most difficult economic environment since the Great Depression. And these are difficult and uncertain times. But your education has prepared you with the knowledge and provided you with the character to confront these issues with considerable hope and faith. Do not be fearful of these times, and do not be fearful of the future. Looking back on my graduation day so many years ago, it seems as though the world in those days was tranquil. Those were the 50s, the days of Ike and Elvis. They were also the days when our football team excelled, and its star was the great All-American Alan Amici, who was known as the Horse. All was quiet in those days, all was orderly, and all was peaceful, or so it seemed. But there was great unrest. They were also the days of the Cold War, bomb shelters, McCarthyism, and Sputnik. Although our nation's economy well into its post-war World War II boom, the beneficiaries of that economy were men and not women. Most disturbingly, those so-called tranquil 1950s were also the days of hatred, fear, inequality, and segregation for a large segment of America's population. The world was a far different place then than it is today. Each generation faces its own unique set of challenges. It is up to each of you, to each one of you, to meet those challenges and set your own course for the future. In baseball, as in life, and I believe baseball is a metaphor for life, hope and faith are critical to success. You'll hear me talk about hope and faith over and over. Take advantage of these difficult times, because if you have hope and faith, if you are smart and tenacious, if you are dedicated and willing to sacrifice, you can make a difference and make it a better world. And don't be afraid of failure. I often take comfort in the words of advice that Teddy Roosevelt gave to his son in 1904. The president said, "It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose vision is marred by dust and sweat and tears, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows that in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while doing so greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat." I believe in dreams. I believe the individual should dream big dreams, limitless dreams, because only then can you reach your full potential. As the great Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw once said, "You see things and you say, why? But I dream things that never were, and I say, why not?" As a young boy growing up in Milwaukee, my hero was the great Joe DiMaggio, and my dream was to emulate Joe and become the next great Yankees center fielder. Well, that was a big dream, as big as they come, but unfortunately, that dream came to a crashing end early in my life. You see, I discovered then I couldn't hit a curveball, and I still can't hit a curveball. But that did not diminish my love for the game, nor did it end my dream of living a baseball life. My wife, Sue, always tells me that had she attended the University of Wisconsin with me, our relationship would never have flourished, because she would have been involved in the party scene while I was always in the library. I spent a great deal of time in the library stacks, studying for my classes. But I found time to read out-of-town newspapers and read up on what the sports writers were saying and writing about baseball around the country. I also checked out books and articles about the baseball commissioners. In those days, there were only three: Kennesaw Mountain Landis, Happy Chandler, who succeeded Landis, and Ford Frick, who was then the commissioner. When I first came here to the university, I believed I was going to be a history professor, even though I had a great love and passion for the game of baseball and dreamed of a baseball life. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would become the baseball commissioner. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Dare to live the life you have dreamed for yourself. Go forward and make your dreams come true." This is exactly what I did. I dared to live my dream. As a student here, I wasn't sure how I was going to make that happen or what exactly a baseball life was. But I knew if I were to live my dream, I had to be focused, and I had to be resolute, and I had to be ready and willing to take a chance if an opportunity ever presented itself. Several years later, that opportunity remarkably did present itself. The Milwaukee Braves stunningly left Milwaukee and moved to Atlanta in 1965. I was heartsick. I made it my mission to bring big league baseball back to Milwaukee, my hometown. I was only 30 years old, and the odds were stacked against me. People told me it was an insurmountable task. Nonetheless, I began knocking on the doors of Major League Baseball owners and showing up at their meetings. I just wasn't going to take no for an answer. 8 days before the start of the 1970 season, a bankruptcy court awarded the Seattle franchise to Milwaukee, and stunningly, my hometown was back in the major leagues, and I was so fortunate to have fulfilled the dream of my lifetime. In the days afterwards, I often thought back to my days at the university in the library stacks, dreaming about a life in baseball. And remarkably, it had happened. In my view, baseball is the greatest game ever invented. It is unique, it is historic, and for nearly a century and a half, it has proven to be a bridge that spans generations. It provides a window to escape from the tedium and difficulties of daily life. It gives people hope and faith, an opportunity to live vicariously through the boys of summer. Baseball brings people together, but more importantly, it's the remarkable sociological influence that it's had on our great country over the years. That influence was best described by my dear friend and former commissioner, the late Bart Giamatti. He wrote the following in an essay, which again proves that baseball is a metaphor for life. He said, "It breaks your heart. It is designed to break your heart. The game begins in the spring when everything else begins again, and it blossoms in the summer, filling the afternoons and evenings. And then as soon as the chill rains come, it stops and leaves you to face fall alone. You count on it. You rely on it to buffer the passage of time, to keep the memory of sunshine and high skies alive. And then just when the days are all twilight, when you need it the most, it stops and summer is gone." I have always said that baseball is a social institution with important social responsibility. There are those who look upon public service and social responsibility as a duty. I see it as an opportunity and as a privilege. Dr. Albert Schweitzer, one of the world's great humanitarians of the past century, once said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know, the only ones amongst you who will be really happy are those of you who will have sought and found how to serve." I believe in those words, and this is what our great game is all about. It is a game in its totality that is much more than what takes place on the field of play. It's an impact that it has on the lives of our fans and our country. The impact never was as great as it was on April 15, 1947. That was the day the great Jackie Robinson stepped on the big league ball field for the first time and forever tore down the racial barrier that had existed in the game for 100 years. It was a magnificent moment that transcended sport and again portrayed baseball as a metaphor for life. For the first time, Major League Baseball truly became the national pastime. It arguably changed the course of this country's social history. It came before President Harry Truman integrated the United States Army, before the historic Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision, before Rosa Parks took her seat at the front of the bus, and more than a decade before the civil rights movement made an impact in our country. What I've learned from Jackie's example from my own career in baseball over the last 45 years is that one's social responsibility, or an organization's social responsibility, often relies on one's courage to do the right thing, even when those around you may tell you that it is not the right thing to do, or there are too many complex problems to overcome. Giving up on your goals, your ideals, or your dreams is the easy way out. You won't succeed. Succeeding is very hard, and sometimes it's hard to do the right thing. My father used to tell me if it were easy, everyone would be a success. Again, it takes courage and vision to do the right things. It takes courage and vision to be a success, and it takes courage and vision to make a difference. I urge each of you to dream big dreams. I urge you to accept the challenge, be courageous, and seek the vision to be the very best that you can. Never give up on your dreams. Your future is limitless. I truly believe that you can achieve and accomplish whatever it is that you set out to do. I wish all of you the very best, and I leave you with the following quote from the great writer W. Somerset Maugham. He said, "It's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the very best, you often will get it. Congratulations. It has been a privilege for me to be here with you today, and I wish all of you great success in the future. Thank you.